So you're a newly formed junior creative team looking to break into an agency, and you're thinking to yourself, shit, what now? Well, in this episode we chat to Dan and Mitty, who 14 months ago were working in JB Hi-Fi, decided they wanted to give advertising a crack during COVID, and have since then been going from strength to strength in some of Sydney's hottest agencies. So you're going to really get a lot of benefit from this in terms of their hustle, their drive, and what they did to get to where they've got to, as well as just get to know them a bit better, because they're a good set of blokes and I really enjoyed this conversation. As always, please hit like and subscribe below and enjoy the video. Hey Dan and Mitty, welcome to Shit What Now. How are you guys today?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good, mate.
Yeah, good.
I'm Daniel. I'm the art director.
I'm Mitch, and I'm the copywriter.
And we started in 2020, the best year for any creative team to start, or any creative in the industry. But we've been fortunate enough to meet some really cool and good people in the industry and have a lot of opportunities. And yeah, we're here just to share our stories today.
I first started off, I actually came into advertising a little bit later. I'm a little bit older than most juniors would be, but essentially I was sitting down one day at university and I was talking to my now wife, and she's looking at me and she's like, "Your class is in 5 minutes." And she sort of just looked at me and she's like, "You're not going, are you?" I was like, "Probably not." And I was doing teaching at the time, and I just didn't have like the passion, or I was getting a bit bored, or wasn't exactly inspired by it.
Okay, I'm bored in the house and I'm in the house bored. Bored in the house and I'm in the house bored.
So we spent the next 3 hours in the cafeteria at uni just sort of writing a pros and cons list and working out what I wanted to do. And I decided I needed to go something creative because I like drawing, I like writing, I like expressing myself that way rather than being stuck in a classroom, I guess. So yeah, and then I was chatting to my cousin at the time, and he was just saying how he's actually in advertising himself, and he's like, "Just try award school."
Ta-da!
And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, sure." And I looked into it, applied that year, got in, and yeah, essentially the rest is sort of history now.
I'm a bit of a journeyman, and I feel like a lot of people in advertising have very similar stories about, the word pivot.
Pivot!
Right? Like the idea of changing course and going to unexpected places. And for me, my journey first started in the military. And when I got out, I wanted to do law, and I did that for a bit. And then I went on to do data analytics at a marketing agency. And one thing that we haven't spoke about is that we're both salespeople at a retail store, right? And that's how we both met. Before advertising, we've known each other for now 7 years as good friends. We've shared a lot of passions like photography, just doing shit, traveling together.
Sports,
sports. Yeah, we love basketball. And before any of this stuff, so for us, coming together was really serendipitous. For 2020, because it was like, once again, pivoting is a overused word, but pivotal isn't. And 2020 was a pivotal year for us because we both got to decide maybe take a step back from all the things that have happened in COVID, and really just hone in on what we really want to do in our lives, because it was almost like a reset button for a lot of millennials, right? And personally for me, I mean, a bit of a guilty pleasure thing. Like when I first thought about going to advertising, I thought, wouldn't it be cool just to be able to have the opportunity to meet NBA players through advertising? There's that sports bet campaign that has Allen Iverson, and because we're huge ball fans, I was like, man, I would love to create a campaign with Shaq for no reason, just have Shaq in it so I can meet it. But that obviously those sort of that sentiment's changed. Since coming into the industry, we both believe that making good work isn't just about getting celebrity power, but it's more so just for the love of the craft and really solve problems with creative solutions. So
and I guess it almost, as sort of cliche. So you get to change the world in a way, even if it's in a small way in terms of a laugh or you get to do something a bit bigger where you get to change behavior in someone. And I guess that's the rewarding side of it as well.
I think, 100%, that's the right attitude to have coming into this industry. I wanted to just circle back to something specifically because it's funny you had that, Dan, you're talking about that millennial moment that you had. And I've actually been referring to them. And this has been a byproduct of just the interviews of people having shit what now moments. And I guess to your point, the shit what now moment for you two guys was it seems quite organic. Like you just kind of both got to a point in your lives where it just kind of hit a crossroads and you're like, right, let's just do this. So talk me through that first conversation where you had that and you kind of thought like, let's give this a nudge.
Yeah, I think it was myself because I finished awards school and I didn't have a partner at the time, which a lot of people had told me I need to find one, which is actually quite a daunting thing to hear and trying to find someone, I guess, online or through LinkedIn or something like that. But I was working on a few briefs and I was thinking about doing competition work just to like keep the brain working. And then I sort of got talking to Dan one day just over, I think, a beer or coffee or something. And he seemed pretty keen to have a look at it with me as well. We had already we already shared ideas with each other, just about anything really. And he was sort of inquisitive about it. That's sort of my take on it. What about you?
Yeah, no, it's funny because like a lot of times, especially now being in the industry, right, you'll find that your friends get really quick and tired of you talking about the industry. Right? Go to a barbecue and you want to talk about like the work or trying to figure out some sort of pain point on a brief, and like you talk about your problems and people just don't want to hear it. And it was funny because like out of all our mates at barbecues, I'd be the only one attending. I'd be like, no, Mitt, tell me more, please. Like, get me involved. Like, let's brainstorm something. I was just always keen to like sort of even just for some reason, it was just so that I could help him out as a mate, but also just selfishly just to go, hey, like, am I capable of that kind of thinking? And one thing led to another. I mean, we don't really say this that often because it's going to dog one of our mates in, but he'll be unnamed. But actually tried to form a partnership with one of our close mates, and it didn't really work out that well because I think we'll talk about this later about finding the right partner for you. But it's really in the end, it's just like we hear that word passion or energy, but it really does matter when it comes to like creatives, because think of yourselves as like entrepreneurs almost, right? There's no one else that's going to push you to get to where you need to be. You need to push yourself. So it's really important, I think, that you find that right person that is able to push the both of you. So
I think you guys are doing a great job at the moment of just sort of networking, finding those right, the right agency and the right people as you've been kind of going through your freelance journey. And I think would you guys mind talking to that a bit? How have you found that sort of, over the last few months?
We got an email one day. It was actually quite a funny story. I just had a baby, and on the same week, we got an email from an agency saying, hey, you guys available to start next Monday? And we're like, well, it's a pretty big opportunity for us being junior and getting our names out there. So I couldn't pass it up. So my family actually lives in Queensland. So I rang up Mum. I'm like, Mum, can you fly down and help my wife and my baby out while I go to work? So that was quite a stressful time. But in terms of doing the work, it was very eye-opening. And our first freelance gig was 2 weeks, and it was very intense, and we learned so much. It was just doing the work and talking to the other creatives, the creative directors. We learned so many lessons, which we'll probably share later on, a couple of them. But yeah, it was a very stressful first few weeks, and we got sort of baptism of fire. They sort of chucked us on a campaign straight away with like, here you go, this is the brief, and see what you come back with. So I guess being junior and getting that was a bit daunting, but yeah, we just took it and ran with it and tried our best, and turned out all right in the end, I think. Yeah, well, we're still standing, right? So I mean, completely agree with Mitt. In the end of the day,
the fact that someone gave us that opportunity, I mean, just the trust as well, you have to repay them with that same respect, right? And just give it all your all. Like, I think
it's a lot of hours just to just prove ourselves and like just make sure we got quality work done. I guess if they can see that you're trying your heart out, then they'll help you. And in the end, they gave us a few pointers and tips, and it worked out really well in the end. And I guess I sounded a bit negative on that, but it was honestly like an amazing experience, and we did really well, I think, with our first gig doing it. So yeah.
Well, I think that's it, right? As long as you feel like you've grown through the process, then your quid's in. You know, it's ultimately. I mean, it's a bit different for suits like myself, but you go through an internship for a couple of weeks and you go, I can't pass this up. You know, I've got to give it a go, and you'll bust a gut to really like go to the nth degree. I had this one intern who he was prepping a room for a pitch. He made sure it's almost like American Psycho level psychotic. He made sure all the notepads and pens had an equal distance between the pen and just ridiculous, and the symmetry in the room. You think the guy was like an art director by the way he did it up, but you know, to your point, Mitty, it's kind of like those 1% things you do. If you keep showing that you really give a shit, people will repay you either in the form of a job or in the form of more work or just in the form of advice, which makes you better moving forward, right? I think that's something that can be applied to any discipline you're in within this industry. That's super useful. And really, it segues nicely onto my next point in terms of for other creative teams who've, let's say they've just kind of got together in the last 8 to 10 months, like let's call it post-COVID times. You know, what would some of your hot tips be for them, for a creative team looking to break into the industry?
Well, we spoke about feedback, and this is actually a bit counterintuitive to what we just spoke about, but be selective with your feedback. We've learned it the hard way, where if you get feedback from everyone and in all different places at the same time, you're not going to be able to get your best work out there. So we truly believe that find people and like mentors that you trust in and like their advice, and then work your way from there. Don't just in the agency setting, like if you once you do make it, don't go for like accounts people and strategy people, and then like your ECD or your CD and seniors, and because you're gonna get like 300 different viewpoints, right? Because everyone has different perspectives on things. Just go to someone that you trust. You know, if it's in relation to creative work, go to an ECD. And if you're not in an agency, honestly, just reach out to people in the industry. Most often than not, people are willing to help juniors. If you're just polite about it and just go, hey, I've got some work that I'd love for you to look over. They're not going to maybe respond to you in the next day because everyone's super busy, but they probably will respond to you in their own time. And then when they do, just follow through with it. Just be very selective about your feedback, I think, because when we first started, we got so much feedback from so many people. No joke, our portfolio for the first 3 months changed like 20 times.
Oh, God.
And it was like we would spend an entire week revamping our portfolio, how we presented ourselves, and only to get shut down by people or go, oh, you've taken it a bit too far or whatever. And we go, well, we don't even know who we are anymore, right? Because we've overworked it so much. So really just be selective about your feedback.
No, that's a really good point. Death by 1,000 cuts, right?
Yeah, really.
And it's that's the great thing about this industry, but also it can be a hindrance. Like everyone is inherently somewhat creative within their own kind of context.
Yeah,
and that's really important, especially as the people generating ideas. Is to just be very mindful about who that comes from and what the actual intentions are, and I guess to what degree that person's feedback is credible.
Yeah, I guess to finish that point off is just go with your gut, because you're the one coming up with the ideas, and it's your work, and if it doesn't get up, it doesn't get up, but at least you know that it was your idea all the way and you haven't chopped and changed it 100 times. Because at the end of the day, I know there was a piece of work we were doing, like a brief, and the initial idea, I guess, changed about 3 times, and eventually it was the same idea that we presented at the very end. So we had the idea, it changed about 3 times, and ended up being the same idea we started with initially. So it's just one of those things, like go with your gut almost, would be an extension of that advice. Yeah.
And be willing to defend it. I think if you show that you can defend your ideas, people will be responsive. Like if you just go, oh yeah, maybe it was a shit idea, then you're just like feeding into that negative loop, right? So just like really trust yourself, like Mitt said, back your gut, and then just defend your ideas. Obviously, know when to stop. I think another one that we were talking about as well was I think immerse yourself, be it in the agency, culture, the industry, pop culture, whatever, right? You had a guest on a couple of weeks ago, Beth from Dentsu. Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
He gave some incredible advice about just being interested, right? And I think, we want to touch on it more, just about, instead of like just being interested, immerse yourself. And what that really means is, like for us, when we look into agencies, we'll look into, what have they done, clients that they've won, what's the work that they've recently made. And it can also be a really great starting point for you to contact those agencies, right? Because if you contact an agency just by saying, oh, hey, I'm this person, blah, 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 like you might not get a response. But if you go, oh, hey, I'm this person, hey, great job on this client that you just won recently, or this work that you just did, you're almost like stroking someone's ego, but you're also showing that you have that interest and you've done the research without just saying, I've done the research. So really important. And I think to carry that mentality onto when you become a professional in the industry, our jobs really, we call it the 1 week expert. Anytime you get a brief, you really are expected to become an expert in that brief, in that thing that you're trying to sell or communicate. And by immersing yourself and becoming like a guinea pig almost, right? And just like, learning the language, learning the tone of voice, all that kind of stuff, it can help a lot in your career. So
I know Dan, for example, he's great at it. He will go out and buy any product that we're trying to look at, or trying to do a brief for. I know there was one time he had some dental product hanging out of his mouth and walking around the agency. And what else did you buy recently? You signed up to some subscription service. And, he definitely tries it out, and I guess that's part of
like I hate chili. I hate chili, but if we do a brief on chili sauce, I will eat that chili sauce. It's just you really got to go out there, right? And just because in the end of the day, like the end consumer, like the end user, they're going to be using that product that you're communicating.
That is such a good point. When you're being briefed by clients to, if they are an FMCG client, to have the product in the room when you're being briefed. KitKat used to do that with us all the time. Whenever they brief us, you know to skip your breakfast that day or to go to the gym, because you can be eating a lot of chocolate later on that day.
Augusto, sweetheart, save some room for later.
But that's absolutely sound advice. I love that.
Yeah, we played with this idea, and it actually took us a long time to, I guess, do it ourselves. But a lot of people told us to brand ourselves, give us an identity going into a job. So I guess for us, we sort of pride ourselves on like big ideas, digital heavy, experiential. Sort of that's how we sort of work, and we work backwards. So we come up with a big idea first, and then we'll go back and do all the digital billboards and out of home and all that sort of stuff. We'll do that later on. So I guess the point is our brand is quite digital orientated, and a lot of people don't actually. They just have like, I don't know, you can probably explain it better, but it's you need a personality almost going into the industry.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot with our mates. It's funny because it's like we work in an industry where we're helping brands create personalities and we're selling that personality, but it's so hard to do it for yourself, right? For a myriad of reasons. But I think most importantly, it's just about really keeping your finger on the pulse and then just understanding that, like, where do you gravitate towards? So it's like, you don't need to know everything about digital space, right? But if you love TikTok, be an expert at TikTok, right? Because you'd be surprised the amount of creators out there that have no idea how TikTok works and the power behind it, right? And if you don't have that sort of preconceived idea of, oh, well, TikTok's just for like Gen Z, we don't get like what they're doing. Don't get me wrong, I don't get what they're doing. I have a young assistant, and I like half the time I'm just like, what the fuck is that about? But you have to be empathetic, right, about it, and you have to go, okay, well, like maybe there isn't like a huge like insight to get. Maybe it's just funny and like they enjoy having a laugh or whatever, right? And you just if you can tap into that, I think it will serve wonders for you as a creative, because like they teach you in award school and in uni to learn the basics and the principles of advertising. But one of my advertising heroes, John Haggerty, he sums it up the best, where he talks about principles remain the same, but practices change. So if you just focus on that idea and on that concept, then it's going to serve you very well.
Yeah, you guys are absolutely doing the right thing to kind of say, right, we're conceptual thinkers with a digitally focused lens. But again, like, it's not always set in stone.
Actually leads us on to, I guess our last point that we had was about refining. After every sort of brief we do, we debrief each other, or like with each other. We just go to a pub and chat about what we did. And we found that, I guess, being in a team, you sort of need to keep that communication open, what worked, what didn't work. And after last gig, we sort of sat down at a pub and we just took a big breath, and we chatted about what worked. And we found that just what we learned, like lessons throughout the time, ways that we could maybe get ourselves into the tone of voice a bit more, and just, I guess how we should work. Like at the last place we were, we worked everything out in front of, like in the agency, like in the studio with everyone listening. And we probably should have taken that into a private room, because everyone thought we were arguing with each other. A debrief after our last one, we sort of worked out that we should go away separately, work quietly, and then come into a room together and I guess collaborate together after we've already brainstormed a bit. And that just came through debriefing. And I think for a team, is a pretty powerful way to sort of get better. And it's the easy way, because all you're doing is just reflecting, essentially. So if you're in a team, that's probably a big thing that I would do, and start doing more often. We probably should do it a bit more. But yeah, it definitely helped when we did it.
Yeah, no, I think we're pretty good at it. I think like after every big sort of touch point in what we're doing, we always go and look back and go like, how can we've done it better? How can we approach it differently? And so sometimes it's not about self-reflection. Maybe it is about just going up to people that you've worked with and just asking them, honestly, and just go, how do you think how I went with this? Do you think, should I have tempered my, personality here and there? Because I know I get that a lot. I get that a lot. Like, and it's just about controlling, not controlling. I think it's just really about understanding, reading the room, I think it's very important, especially in this space, that because you're constantly working with communication every day, all day, that, it is a craft in itself. Yeah.
So you guys have kind of you've talked about some really good sort of advice there in terms of, being empathetic about who you present to, what the consumer's going through when they're consuming the products, and trying the products incredibly important. Being a sponge and really absorbing in all the different elements of the agency and what they're having, but also at the same time being selective of what you are absorbing, to then hone into what your unique selling point is as a team and unique offering is as a team. And I think the more and more you boys do that, the more and more you'll find the right agencies that fit your vibe, if that makes sense.
I think one last point, if we can make it, I just want to say this just because I just remembered it from our notes, is that surround yourself with people, not just because a lot of young creatives, and we were I guess guilty of doing this at the start, was we just went straight to the top. And I think someone from your agency, The Hallway, I forgot her name. I'm so sorry if you're listening to this, but she mentioned that, don't go straight to the top, don't go to the ECD straight away, because like you're not going to get a response. But I think more so to that, go to someone just one level higher than you. So in other words, if you're a junior, go to someone who's a midweight team or a midweight creative or whoever that's working in the industry, because not only will you be getting great advice for them, but you get to sort of see their journey and then sort of like be able to then roadmap how you could possibly approach it. And it's less daunting that way. And on top of that, there's a great opportunity to become friends with them. We reached out to the guys who won Young Glory last year, and their names are Jack and Lucas, and we've become great mates with them. Just the other week we just had beers with them, and like it's just one of those things where like now we're always just chatting away, like coming up with like different ideas together as two different teams, but we're working together and we're both rooting each other on. And I think it's really important to be able to establish that kind of community, and really early on as well, because the industry is quite small, especially in Australia. So the better you are at establishing community early on, I think the better you'll be prepared for the long term. So yeah,
absolutely. And one thing I keep harping on about, I swear I've said it every time in this YouTube channel, because it's true, is your network is your net worth. You've got to work hard just to build that. And kind of seeing this as a recurring theme now. The people who have got to where they want to get to have simply just had conversations with the people in the positions that they want to be. It's as simple as that. And to your point, Dan, it's, don't start at the top, and just keep going down. If that person's not available, keep going down. It's as simple as that. I think a lot of people have this, I was going to say irrational fear, but it's not irrational, because it's quite daunting just kind of cold calling someone, right? But if it's coming from a place of genuine good intent, and if they're 9 times out of 10, there will be the person who wants to help other people in the industry, they'll be receptive to your message. So, it's, I'm glad you guys are saying that, because it's so important. Everyone is willing to help each other out. That's the whole reason behind this YouTube channel, is so that we have a place to give people confidence to go and do that. So I really appreciate that, guys. Just before we wrap up, was there anything else you wanted to add?
Get on the phone, ring people. That was actually one of our main points that we forgot to mention. But when we started off just emailing and getting nothing, and then as soon as Dan jumped on the phone, we literally had recruiters apologizing for people not responding on that email. So we got one of the recruiters we talked to. She goes, "Oh, Dan, I'm so sorry on behalf of the industry that no one got back to you." Just like an email saying no thanks.
It was so bizarre, because I called her and she didn't answer, and then she called me back straight away, and then I explained to her our situation about how like we've been emailing people and we've been getting no response, like complete radio silence. And the first thing she said to me was, "I'm so sorry on behalf of the industry." I'm like, thank you. Like, you don't have to do that. It's fine. Like, it's just one of those things where, you just have to just get on the phone, because we were talking about this before. It's like, it's harder for someone to say no to you over the phone than it is via email, right?
Totally.
It's the whole social media read or seen thing, right? Like, if you get on the phone and you show a bit of personality, then people are going to be more receptive. And honestly, like, if you need some sort of like encouragement, watch Wolf of Wall Street and then just get on the phone straight after. It's like I'm not trying to like scam people, but just get that sort of energy about you, and then you'll realize how infectious it is, because like everyone used to be a junior
until their client either buys or fucking die.
Right? So like when they feel or see or hear someone who has that energy that they used to have as well, then they're going to help you out.
They're not going to say no for a quick coffee in the morning before they start work, or even like 15 minutes after they finish. Like, it's just, "Hey, can you check out my book? Have a coffee. I'll shout you." We never actually ended up buying anyone a coffee. They bought us coffee, but if you put yourself in the position on the phone, it's a lot harder for them to say no. It's a lot easier for them to say no over a keyboard. "Oh, I'm too busy, sorry."
I wish you boys the best of luck in your future for what you go ahead with. And I'm sure we'll get you back on the show sometime soon.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank
We
you so
definitely
much.
need it. Thank you, mate.
All right, lads. Well, I'll let you enjoy the rest of your evening, and let's chat soon.
All the best, mate. Thanks.
See you, boy.